Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of, I guess, the Sasscast? We haven't been here in a little while, man. So, I saw the Silent Hill transmission on Wednesday and decided that I had to talk about it. So, I brought with me someone in the kind of funny best friend community who, as far as I can tell, loves Silent Hill as much as I do, if not more. So, hey, how are you doing today, Goth?
I'm doing great. How's it going, Phil?
I'm doing really well. Now, do you prefer GothxHero, GothxHero?
Goth is fine. And honestly, any one of those works. If I hear Goth or GothxHero, I'm like, what? Who's? I'm at an Albertsons.
I do have to apologize for my dogs. They're going crazy right now. I don't know if someone's here. My wife's family is supposed to be coming by, so I don't know if they're just early. But hopefully that doesn't bother anybody too much. That threw me off. But so for now, we'll just go with Goth.
Sounds good.
Perfect. So what is it you do? First of all, promote
So
yourself.
thank you. I stream on Twitch, just 3 times a week. I started doing it as a little hobby, and now I'm just finally finding out I really like creating content and entertaining people. And so I've just been on Twitter, on Twitch, playing horror games, and sometimes I do variety. I like to play almost every game. I think the only games I don't really touch is sports games because there hasn't been a Blitz the League in a while. But yeah, I pretty much just play games, like to make people laugh, entertain, and support the homies.
Nice. That's awesome. Where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/GothHero, GothHero pretty much everywhere. I was really shocked when I rebranded from my old username to GothHero and that it wasn't taken anywhere. I was like, damn, original.
That's awesome. Now, how do you spell that?
GothxHero on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch.
Perfect. All right. So we're here to talk about the Silent Hill transmission. What's your history with Silent Hill?
I think I started playing Silent Hill when I was like 6 or 7 because I saw my sister play it and she got me super into the Squaresoft, Resident Evil, Capcom games, and even Konami because she like had me play other games, but I saw this game and I was like, this is terrifying. I'm very intrigued. And so I played it a bunch as a kid and just never got past the hospital. Like my young brain could not process the hospital. I'm surprised it got past the piano puzzle. But ever since then, I've been playing the games all throughout my life. And then when I was like 16 or 17, I was like, I should beat these and stop just playing them. So I beat 1 through 3 and I was like, all right, yeah, these are my favorite. And I've dabbled in every other game, Downpour, Homecoming, and they just did not stick. Newer Silent Hill games don't tend to. But yeah, that's about my history with it. And I've just grown up with survival horror and plenty of all around it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, my start with the franchise was Silent Hill 1 on the PlayStation. I had played Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2, and I finally got a PlayStation for myself. So a lot of people, especially younger people, may not know this, but you used to be able to rent consoles from these places that you would go, like Blockbuster. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that. But
Insane.
yeah, you used to be able to put some money down and rent a console, and it was way cheaper than going out and buying your own. So it allowed me to play certain games until I eventually was able to get a PlayStation for myself as a young boy, mowing lawns and whatnot.
Trying to scrape
And
together anything to get Parasite Eve.
right, exactly. And yeah, it continued from there. Like as you said, Parasite Eve, Parasite Eve 2. But Silent Hill was the game that really captured my attention. And I don't know if that's because my stepdad walked in on me in the school scene when they have the little children like demons with knives. And he was like, "What the hell is this shit? This shit's gonna rot your brain, boy." And I was like, this is it. This is my game forever now.
Yeah. Huh. I feel like these kids. I'm scared and I'm running around with a little knife.
Exactly. So that was for me. That was the moment that I was hooked. I mean, I love the atmosphere. I loved the switching back and forth from the foggy realm to the rusty, like rotting realm. and the puzzles. I don't even know how I did them. I'm thinking about going back and playing every single game in the franchise because it's been quite a few years. I mean, uh, I have had my PlayStation 2 locked away for at least a decade now.
Free the
So
boy. Free our
I
man.
know, I know. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's about time. Um, and it's for like a decade. I haven't played any game in the franchise. I've never played Homecoming or Downpour. I never played that weird Vita game, Book of Memories,
Ah,
I
but
think it's
yes,
called.
the Diablo like.
Right. I'm not even sure how that one works, but you know what? We're gonna go
Not
there.
well.
Um, and yeah, so I don't know how as a little kid I solved these puzzles. It's just repetition, trying,
Brute
and
force.
brute force exactly. But I got every ending for Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2. I didn't get every ending for Silent Hill 3. I think I only beat Silent Hill 3 maybe 3 times.
I think I've
In
only beaten it twice.
Yeah,
And it's funny, I love it. It just never resonated with me as much as 1 and 2.
for me, oh, you know what? We've just been sitting on the transmission here. I should actually press play on that. My dog, like I said, my dog's barking really threw me off.
All good.
Um, but yeah, it was one of those things where I I don't know. Like it came out at a time, when I was trying to go to college and whatnot. So I don't know.
Funny enough, my first experience with Silent Hill 3 was the HD collection that came out because I think it came out when I was in high school. And I was like, oh my God, Silent Hill in HD. And those ports were just busted. Just,
not not only were they busted, but they didn't look better. Like I'm pretty sure an emulated PS2 version looked better than those HD quote unquote ports.
it did because in Silent Hill 2, it removes 50% of the fog, so it's less atmospheric scary. They redid the voice actors, which weirdly enough, Troy Baker voices James.
I did not think about ads on this. Oh my lord.
Um,
Oof.
yeah, just the HD ports were not it, and the Silent Hill 3 port crashes, and they
Oh
never
wow.
fixed it. It crashed during a live stream when I was replaying it like a couple months back, and I was like,
Still
I
here.
never, I never once thought I would have to deal with this on
Hmm.
a PS3.
And just for those who are watching, yes, the footage of Silent Hill is upside down, which is both fitting but also trying to not get this taken down and or shut down on certain platforms. So bear
We're
with us
trying to
on
make
that one.
sure that like the algorithm poppy doesn't hit us, like
Exactly.
doesn't smack us down.
All right. So now that we've kind of gone over the history that we have with the series, I want to know your thoughts on PT. What were your thoughts with Kojima taking the reins
Oh,
and the PT demo and the aspirations that died a horrible, horrible death?
I think you just kind of described it. It truly was just a momentous occasion getting somebody like Hideo Kojima to helm a Silent Hill game. That was peak level stuff because I don't know somebody who's not a Metal Gear fan. I mean, I can understand them not being their cup of tea, but like you gotta respect them. And just Kojima as an industry whole, and then Guillermo del Toro with like Pan's Labyrinth, and that's the first movie that comes to mind. I can't think of any other one, but he's great at what he does. And then Norman Reedus coming hot off the presses of Walking Dead and just playing PT and going, this is actually horror. This is a defining moment in horror where we're going to get something truly special from just all these creative minds. And then just to have it ripped away from us. Just a actual business decision to have it ripped from the players of a beloved franchise. And then just for them to be dead quiet for like 9 years.
Yeah, dead quiet.
Nothing.
And
It's
yeah, I mean, as far as like a someone who can bring imaginative monster designs uh like outside of the Japanese community that has brought us so many crazy cool,
mm,
not just Silent Hill and Resident Evil, but I mean just Japanese developers in general, whether it's anime, manga,
you've got
visual
Junji Ito.
novels. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's crazy how amazing they have had, just like filled our minds with all this crazy imagery over the years. And
It,
I think outside of them, Guillermo del Toro is definitely that person that could do that, that could
yeah,
bring something unique and imaginative and really bring his expertise to Silent Hill and make it something fresh and original.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's like you've got so many wonderful designs from him, and that could bring it so much new life into a dead franchise.
Absolutely.
It's just such a goddamn tragedy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it was such a phenomenon, too, because nobody knew how to beat it. Everyone was just trying to do their thing, and then people figured it out by accident. And then there
Mm.
was so many people, like, I remember browsing GameFAQs and, like, checking out all the crazy, like, theories on how the ending actually worked, and nobody was getting it right. And even, like, the IGN guides, like, didn't work to perfection. And
Like
even,
nothing was one to one with it. It was all
yeah,
like, oh, well, I didn't do that, but you still managed to get to the end, but I did it this way. Like, God, what a moment in time.
yeah, absolutely. And I remember going back through in those and like explaining like my thoughts on the story, and I wrote like this 3 page like essay on like the backstory behind like why you were there, what who your character was in this little PT demo.
Mm.
I thought about looking for it and seeing if I could find it and like bringing it to the show, and then I was like, nah, that's too much work.
It's a lot of work dragging that from the muck,
Yeah,
but it would be
exactly.
sick. Like, I'd love to hear the thoughts of fresh in mind PT, you know what I mean? Because we
Yeah.
all have fond memories of it. But nobody's making new memories of PT because you can only buy it from a $500 PS4 on eBay.
Right. And you know, as cool as all the inspired PT works are, they just don't
Mm.
capture that same feeling. I you know, it's so weird because that game doesn't feel like Silent Hill. You
No,
know,
not at all.
it is its own entity, and it creates this really cool atmosphere that is far beyond, you know, and I imagine Silent Hills would have been more Silent Hill esque and less PT.
Mm.
But I think that it could have served as like a template for things you might be able to expect.
Yeah,
The radio
100%.
transmissions, the way that the story is portrayed, crazy visual effects. But I think overall it would have been a different experience.
I think so too, just because nobody really calls it Silent Hills. They call it PT.
Right.
And so I don't even know where I was really going with that. My brain doesn't work well. But it's one of those things that I wish it was a moment in time that could have just made a fruition and could have went through, because we hear about dozens of canceled games. Like Scalebound's a huge one. Like,
Right. Things
play
we'll
mine.
never know.
That'll be a dragon riding RPG. What was PT in Silent Hills going to be? That intrigues me.
Absolutely. Even the like little glimpses we got into it weren't enough to really tell you what that game was going to be. I think they were still honestly kind of playing with it.
Yeah. I think it was an actual like playable test demo. Like, these are our early ideas that made it on paper. What is the thing in the sink? Why do we have a weird baby thing there? Why are the eyes scratched out in all these photos? Who's the lady on the balcony? There's
Yep.
so much.
Absolutely. Okay. So moving on from there, what
Mm.
were your thoughts when I mean obviously there have been rumors circulating forever that there are multiple teams working on Silent Hill games. When is Konami going to show it? Is this stuff real? And then all of a sudden, we get the notification that a transmission is happening, a Silent Hill transmission straight from your Silent Hill 2 radio to your ear holes.
You find a shitty radio in the parking lot and it just says October 19th, and you're like, what?
God, if influencers had gotten weird Silent Hill 2 radios in their
Oh,
mailboxes and then all we got was them playing it, it said play this on this date and they get on their camera and they play it and all it says is prepare for the transmission and get, you know, like whatever the
yeah.
message said in that tweet, and that's all we saw from like YouTube videos and Twitch while this was happening. And then of course on the day of it happens, that would have been awesome.
Would have been incredibly insane. It just says in my restless dreams, do you see this town? Find out more October 19th. Like it would have
Exactly.
imploded. Like because
Exactly.
it was a huge deal getting anything from Konami that wasn't an NFT or a pachinko machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if they played it up, it would have been a bigger hit, but I still think it was like a heavy hitter. Like
Oh God,
Konami
yeah.
coming out of the word work.
Yeah, absolutely.
When
And
do we get
so,
the oh
oh no, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I was like, when's Konami gonna hit us with the biblical church service of Castlevania? Like, when we get in a sermon?
Absolutely. So yeah, what were your thoughts seeing Silent Hill 2 reimagined? I mean, the intro obviously sharing a lot of similarities, the same exact voiceover from the original game, obviously with different voice actors and
Mm,
different emotional inflections because the game's voice director seems like they care about the material and is really trying to bring out as much as they can. Um, but what were your thoughts when you started to see that?
I it was one of those things that like when you have an old nostalgia game, you're like, there's no way they'd reboot this. I don't think they would. This is a timepiece. It's in its little box, and that's what we get. Seeing Silent Hill 2 remake, reboot, whatever we want to call it, reimagining, I've never felt more giddy because it's my second favorite game of all time. Funny enough, my first isn't a horror game, but it was. I was like, this is for me, a true like fan, and this is for anybody who wants to experience this. Like, I just felt joy, like overwhelming. I didn't cry or anything. I think I slapped my leg a bunch and was like, yes, yes, and I was without words during that entire trailer. I think I've watched the trailer probably 14, 15 times, and it still hits very hard knowing that this is real.
So one of the big things that I've seen criticized, and I honestly I had this reaction at first as well, was the face. And I'm not talking about the
Okay.
emotion because there's a lot of people out there that are like, "Hey, Silent Hill 2 had a certain melancholy about it. It had a certain feel and emotion, and you didn't see all this sorrow and pain on James's face." Well, sure,
Yeah.
it was on PlayStation 2, and they didn't exactly have the budget and/or technology to maybe do exactly what they wanted. It seems like they're working pretty closely with Konami on this project, so I would
Yeah.
imagine that this is a lot of what they wanted for this game, right?
Yeah.
So I don't look at that stuff and go, wow, oh, that's not what they did in the original. And does that take some of the magic away? Maybe in your nostalgic brain that's translating your old memories, but I think
Hmm.
that bringing it into this new age and having this different experience is nice. I think it's going to make it feel fresh, and I think we're going to get a little bit different feel out of it that we may not have gotten from replaying the original, but I still think they're going to stick really close to the original.
I couldn't agree more with that because I truly believe that with our the technology we have for games and stuff, with them looking so good, being able to show the portrayal of just tired, anguish, exhaustion on James, because those are all emotions that he clearly is showing in a 2001 game, but now it's like you can see it.
Yeah, you feel
And
it.
yeah, like just watching the first like couple minutes of that trailer, like when he touches his face, you see how tired he is. You see he has a wedding ring like tan mark, which I didn't notice till probably the fourth time watching. But you see everything on it and it ramps up from there. Like I'm excited for every bit of emotion that they can show being put on this man because we both played Silent Hill. We know how much of a fucked up person James Sunderland is. Like, I'm excited to see that in this. I'm assuming it'll be much longer. So instead of like 4 or 5 hours, we'll probably get like 8, 9 hours. Like, I
Yeah,
don't think that's out of the realm.
it's going to be interesting because obviously they've made quite a few changes to the presentation of the game, right?
Mhm.
Instead of the map being in the car, we see the map on like a signpost.
Yeah, it's like a
Instead of
billboard.
just cutting to gameplay of him walking out of the bathroom, we actually see him walk out of the bathroom instead of walking down the street and seeing oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the enemy right now, but the first enemy you encounter in the game.
Oh, I know exactly
Um,
what you're talking about. I love Silent Hill. I don't know all the enemies of the
oh my
games.
gosh, they've got. I also was very surprised they called throughout the presentation they called it the pyramid thing, and I was like,
Yeah.
wait, is that really what its name is? Like I've known
Hmm.
it as Pyramid Head my entire life.
The
Is it
red pyramid thing.
is it really Red Pyramid thing?
Yeah, red pyramid thing. That is
So
exactly how James describes it.
yeah,
And that's just what it is. Like even like fan gamer merch has it described as red pyramid thing.
yeah, wild. I mean, it's like every time I would see Pyramid Head, that was what I'd say. I'd say, oh, it's Pyramid Head, Red Pyramid
Yeah.
Head.
And
Wild.
I think that is exactly how everybody sees it too. They see a bloody guy with a pyramid on his head. They're like, I'm not gonna call him bloody guy, pyramid boy. I'm gonna call him pyramid head.
But
And
yeah,
the enemy is called lying figure, by the way. The gross like that
lying
can
figure.
spray
That's
acid
it.
lying figure.
Yeah. So we see lying figure in a cinematic. Like
Yeah.
there's a moment when you're walking and it kind of stops you for a moment and you see it walking in the distance. But it's not like a cinematic moment like it is in the new game. And so, yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of those moments. What I'm wondering is how closely is that gameplay going to look in comparison to those cutscenes? And I mean, as long as it's close, like it probably won't be an issue. But man, even the slight little bit we get in that trailer, you can tell that they are absolutely uh, getting into the wow, I just totally lost my train of thought because this ad came on. I should have just taken the video down and done it that way, but I wasn't smart enough to think about that beforehand because we're getting YouTube ads throughout this. Um,
But I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, they're I think they are going to stick 1-to-1 with this and just flesh out more. The best comparison I have for it is Resident Evil 1 remake.
yeah.
You take everything you have, take it, and then expand on it.
Well, so the big thing, so I remember what I was talking about now.
Okay,
The
perfect.
big thing
Beautiful.
about Resident Evil is that it's mostly in engine. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if the cutscenes for Silent Hill 2 are in engine or not.
they are pre-rendered. And
Yeah.
they run at 60 frames per second.
Okay. So, I mean, and that's totally what it feels like. So I'm wondering how different the gameplay is going to be from those cutscenes. Like, how close are they going to be able to get that model?
Yeah, no, I'm curious too because I want to say something came out where they said it's all one continuous, or maybe I'm thinking of Callisto Protocol, but I could be mixing those up. So I wonder if we do get like a God of War, like no load screens, all in engine. This is everything. It's seamless.
Yeah, I mean, hard to judge by the trailer, but it really seems like they're not looking for that. They're looking for cinematic because there's that shot of like his foot, and then it goes to the map, like I said, as he like walks by it. So I definitely think that they're trying to go for more cinematic. That doesn't mean that it won't all be seamless.
Yeah.
As long as it's not, what's the biker Days Gone, like I love Days Gone. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of fun in that game. I platinumed it.
Oh wow! All
I'm
right.
not one of those people that like tried to play it and then hated it. I played it and I did think it was too long. I did think that there were weird mission design stuff, but the actual gameplay super fun. However, those cutscenes where it's like cutscene, fade to black, fade back up to different cutscene, fade to black, fade up to gameplay. It's like no, stop it.
I put 3 hours into Days Gone and I went, I don't not like this game. I just don't want to play it right now. And then I just saw everything on the internet and I was like, I'll get to Days Gone eventually. So I didn't know anything about the weird cutscene transitions or anything like
Oh
that.
man, I played it right after God of War. So it was not happening. Like I was like I can't do this. So I stopped playing it and I think a year later I went back. Oh no, it was the start of the pandemic.
Okay.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to play Days Gone and I ended up just absolutely falling in love with it. Like again, the story is a little ham-fisted. I mean, it's about a former biker gang, member and his best friend and whatever
Trying
and
to survive
whatnot.
zombies.
Yeah. But yeah, gameplay wise, it's so much fun to run around that world and have random encounters with people and zombies. And you can definitely see that they had a lot of stuff in place that was a lot of fun. It could have been really cool had they gotten a sequel. Anyway, I didn't bring that up so we could talk about Days Gone. I
No,
brought that
yeah.
up because the cutscenes are real bad. And I hate the pacing of them going from black fade to coming from black and back into the game and over and over and over.
I could see how that would be rough. But no, it I feel like it will be seamless and that maybe it won't be in engine. We'll still probably get those pre-rendered beautiful cutscenes, but it'll just go right back into it.
I hope so. Yeah, and even if it doesn't, like as long as it's like just cut back to gameplay or whatever, like even if it's not, Metal Gear Solid 4 style where the cutscene happens and then it pulls out back to Snake as he's running around because he wants to tell you you're pretty good. So, as long as it's something like that, I think it'll be good. Now, how do you feel about Bloober Team being the people on this game?
We were talking about it a little bit earlier, but like I played 3 Bloober games, Layers of Fear, Blair Witch, and The Medium. They're fine. I'd tell people, hey, if it's like a Epic Games or like you get it with PlayStation Plus, go for it. I bought The Medium. I feel like I didn't get my money's worth, but I liked it. I think Bloober Team is mid.
The Medium was very fun in when it was hitting,
Yeah,
but
exactly. It had awesome moments, but when it wasn't hitting, it was not hitting.
I think my biggest problems with the Medium were the fact that you couldn't pick something up unless the game told you you could.
Yep.
Like, I saw a trash can and I went to go check the trash can like I would in any Silent Hill game. And instead of giving me a piece of dialogue that was like, there's nothing in this trash can, or picking something up out of it, it didn't let me do anything until I walked to like 4 rooms later, had a small cutscene where a spirit guided me back to said trash can, and then let me pick something up out of it. And I was like, oh, cool. That's neat. And then
Yeah,
I
that was.
continued to. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, oh yeah, that's rad. I love not being able to play the game.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things of like having to wait for something to happen to be able to find the item that you need uh, is rough. Like I don't. It's been like I said, it's been a while since I've played Silent Hill, but I can't remember a time when something like that would happen. Right? Like it would be you'd find the item and you wouldn't know what to do with it until you found the thing that you were supposed to do with it, or you'd find the thing you were supposed to do something with and then go back and find the item and be like, oh, this is what I need for that.
There are some weird instances, at least in Silent Hill 2, which I didn't put this in the intro, but I do speedrun Silent Hill 2. That so if you try to go, say you don't have like the right key to like the next apartments, and you try to go there first, it's like, oh, a mysterious force is blocking this, and you're like, okay. And then you try to go see Angela in the apartments, but if you don't go see Eddie first, it's like this door's not here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was something after speedrunning it a bunch I learned. I was like, oh, you can't just you actually there is an order to this madness.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, I've gotten every ending of Silent Hill 2, and I don't remember coming. I might have come across the mysterious force keeping you from entering thing,
Mm.
but I don't remember the part about that at all, where you had to go, to her, you had to go to him first before her.
Yeah. It's very weird, and that was something that I did not find out until I started putting hours into this game. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird and shocking.
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, there's a lot of that in the medium. Not just one or two instances, a lot of it.
Yeah, the medium was just so hand-holdy, and it was like, if like you started like your little bubble in the walkways too soon, you'd die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah,
just
100%. I
very,
can't
and then
for a game that has no combat. I can't tell you how many times I died.
and that was like I was playing it with my girlfriend, and I was like, I don't know how I'm so bad with this because there's no real threat.
Right.
It's moths.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely
But
wild.
but I do have to give Bloober Team props because their atmospheres are very good. like going back to Layers of Fear, you do feel the weird painting world, and that's just like this is a very messed up family.
Hmm.
And then with the medium, their worlds are pretty. Like I really liked both sides of that story. And with Blair Witch was Blair Witch, it was creepy in a forest. Like it worked.
Observer's really cool. So, I really like Observer. And I didn't hate the medium. I just thought that, like you said, it was very heavy handed and handholdy in ways that I
Mm,
didn't think it needed to be. And there were the fact that, like, when I played it, I was like, wow, this feels like the most Silent Hill in a video game I've played in forever.
yeah. And that's what made me buy it. I was like, this is sidebar Silent Hill. I want this.
Yeah, it was like I
Bought it
ordered
day
Silent
one.
Hill off Wish and then got
Yeah.
the medium.
And I got a silly little girl with white hair.
Exactly. But only when
Yeah.
you're in this weird other world that for some reason they tried to do a weird simultaneous render thing that I don't think needed to
Yeah.
happen, but you
It
know
was
what?
kind of cool the first time
Sorry.
I did it, but then I was like, I think I just want the full scary. I
Yeah.
don't want the half and half, which parts of those mechanics were kind of neat.
Yeah.
But I have faith in Bloober Team just because I have rose tinted goggles for one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm like, no. If they showed the most passion, they can do it.
Like I
Sure.
said, I think that they are working very close with Konami on this,
Mm,
and I don't think that Konami like would really let them stray too much. If they felt like that adding this scene or adding this other thing is not helping the game or is changing things too much, I think that they would take it out.
I agree too. I think Konami would be like, no, like let's not get too out of the wheelhouse. Come here, Bloober. Just a little pathway. You can
Yep,
go off a little bit.
exactly.
Um, but no, there's a few people in the Silent Hill community who I talk to, and a lot of them are like, I'm not digging this. I'm not vibing with it. It seems too. I've heard it thrown around like AAA, and I'm like,
I
what do you
mean,
want then?
Silent Hill 2, despite its gameplay issues and tank controls, was absolutely a AAA game of its era. I mean,
100%.
maybe a very, very high-end double A. Like, for the time period, the voice acting was there. It wasn't the best, but what game was at that point? And
Like,
then the cutscenes are still to this day some of the most beautiful FMV sequences I've ever seen.
yeah, they're
Um,
gorgeous, and that's what sticks out in people's heads is those pivotal moments in the cutscenes, like
right.
finding Maria at the first, once you get to Rosewater Park, and it's like Mary, and it's like, no.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, and just that's what sticks out in people's heads, and I think that's what they want, but they want it back in the day. They don't want like the Callistos and the Dead Space remakes AAA. They're like, no, I want my cult classic Silent Hill 2 when it was really a huge hit.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I do think that these games should be released and playable at least on PC. Like, do
100%.
do a PC port. Just give it to somebody who cares and let them do an up-resed PC port of these games so that they at least have some place to be.
Yeah, because they don't have a home right now. Like Silent Hill 2 is pretty much abandonware right now. You can go to the speedrun forums and just go download it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all of the Silent Hill games really are stuck on the platforms that they initially released on, except for that HD remake, which, I mean, let's be honest, is not worth playing at all.
Not really. You can make an argument for the 360 version. I've heard that one's slightly better, but you can get Silent Hill 4 on GOG. Homecoming port is garbage. Like, but
Downpour doesn't exist,
Downpour doesn't exist. It's the PS3 and PlayStation 1 if you want to play Silent Hill 1,
right?
and it's not super accessible. And Silent Hill 3, you've got a shitty port. Like, we don't have access to these games, and I think it'd be smart if Konami was just like, put them on Steam or GOG. We don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing Persona 4 Golden again right now, and
Banger.
I'm playing it on my Steam Deck. The thing barely uses any of the Steam Deck's power, and yet looks gorgeous for what it is. And I just give it to somebody who cares, who can make a PC port that feels and plays good, well.
Yeah, look at Siphon Filter with Sony Bend.
Sure.
They put trophy support and upgraded upgraded that for PlayStation Plus
Yeah,
Premium. Like, it's doable.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. It needs to happen. I know we're getting a remake, and I know they want to spotlight that, but especially at this moment in time, everybody wants to play Silent Hill right now after this transmission. Everybody wants to play. I'm gonna butcher his name, but Ryushio 07. They want to play
Yeah.
his graphic novels. They want to
Yeah.
play. That stuff to see what this guy's got, to see if he's got the chops to do a Silent Hill story.
Yeah.
They want to play Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, and probably maybe 4. Um,
Maybe that water prison. Cool.
but yeah, man, it's one of those things that they absolutely should be doing, and it wouldn't be too bad. Like $10, $20 for each game, just on a PC port, and
Yeah.
then maybe
Like,
down the line after Silent Hill 2 comes out, port them to consoles in a collection or something.
it's an easy cash grab for people who are where the buzz is about, you know what I mean? Like, I personally feel like this Silent Hill news, it's like it's huge. Like, we haven't heard from this franchise in 10 years.
No, and yeah, everyone is, like you said earlier before I think we started recording, like YouTube, Twitch, everybody is trying to Silent Hill it up right now because there's so much interest in checking out the series.
Because I'm sure there's tons of people who recently got into gaming over the course of the last like 5 or 6 years, you know what I mean, who don't know what that is. They might have saw the movie poster and
Sure.
went, "That's a movie tie-in," and it's like,
Maybe even
"No."
saw the movies,
Yeah,
you know?
which Silent Hill 1 the movie isn't as bad as people think.
Nah, it's all
Silent Hill
right.
2 Revelations, bad
Terrible.
movie.
Absolutely bad.
Mm.
But no, I actually enjoy the first Silent Hill. I look at it as like an alternate dimension version of
Yep.
the original game.
Yeah, because I've always thought of it as like everybody's Silent Hill is different.
Yeah.
Clearly, you can see that in the games. So like, why wouldn't Rose's be similar to Harry Mason's when it is the same concept? Like
Right.
maybe they're not going on vacation and Rose isn't a widow, but like it's the still basic concept, and it doesn't surprise me that the dimension of Silent Hill can change.
Absolutely. And that leads us to our next subject to talk about, the Silent Hill movie based on the story of Silent Hill 2. I mean, I wonder if this was the catalyst that was like, okay, maybe we should remake Silent Hill 2 to coincide with the release of this movie. However, I feel like if that is the case, or they greenlit the movie because of the game, I don't know which one, but because the game looks like it's a lot farther along than
The movie.
the movie. I mean, they released PC specs for it already. So, I
Yeah,
mean, it has to be close, right? Like, Gotham Knights didn't release PC specs until like a week before it launched.
Gotham Knights is a whole other podcast.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
But no, you're 100% right. I think they did have plans for the Silent Hill 2 remake, and then Christopher Gans even said himself, he's like, I'm a huge fan. Like, I did the first movie. I'd like to do a second one. And Konami was like, sure, go for it. Have fun. Please.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that we got that leak from him prior to this whole transmission.
Yep.
Like
He was straight up like, yeah, they're working on a couple
yeah, they're
games.
doing
like,
stuff. I'm working on a
Yeah.
movie. Script's done.
he was
We got storyboards rolling already.
so insane.
It's great.
It's very funny. I did not believe that, man, when that news story broke. I was like, no, this is that. Nope, we're not doing this. Not again.
No, if it wasn't from him, I probably would agree with you. But the fact that it was from him, I was like, nah, this is real. This is a real thing. This is happening.
It's like the fabled Nvidia leak. Like, more stuff keeps coming from that, but until I see Final Fantasy IX remake, I ain't believing it.
I mean, that's true. Chrono Cross and Final Fantasy IX do have remake rumors. But man, I really, really hope that remaster of Chrono Cross wasn't the remake news. Like, I really hope that there's somebody out there that's giving that game the love and attention it deserves. Because, okay, real quick, Chrono Cross, my favorite Square RPG from that era. Like,
Okay.
I love Final Fantasy IX, I love Final Fantasy VII, but Chrono Cross, like, that was the game that I thought was so cool because it had the like new game plus stuff, and you could speed up time, and you could get all these like 41 characters or whatever the final total was.
I've never played Chrono Cross. It is in my RPG list to get to eventually, but I've heard it's a kind of a magical experience because it did so much different stuff that wasn't really happening.
Yeah, it's so cool, and as much as I love Chrono Trigger, like that it was a little too old for me, right? Like
Mhm.
I didn't play Chrono Trigger until way later, so Chrono Cross was that RPG for me, where it wasn't Final Fantasy, but it was still Square, and it was this cool turn-based thing. Yeah, I loved it, and I just wish that remaster did it justice in a way that made it feel good. And I don't understand what, again, going back to Persona 4, I don't understand what Square Enix's remaster teams are doing, but like, me talking about how well Persona 4 runs on the Steam Deck, like
Mm.
Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age on the other hand doesn't run as well. Like,
Yeah,
I don't understand. Like, that game is amazing. It's a graphical masterpiece for the PlayStation 2 era, but it should still run on my Steam Deck without me like making it cry.
yeah. Like Final Fantasy 12 shouldn't take. It should take a potato and two popsicle sticks. That's what the PS2 is, and it did its job well.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is the remaster so hard to
It's
run?
not like I'm
I
trying
think,
to run it in 4K.
yeah, no, like I don't need it in 4K.
Yeah,
I need it in like 720 maybe.
exactly.
Um, but back to the Silent Hill 2 movie. I love those movies, even though I talk shit about Revelations. It's fun. I like it. It's Silent Hill content, baby. I'm in. I think a complete story that is Silent Hill 2 could make a solid movie.
It does make me wonder like what exactly they're going to do, cuz obviously Christoph has played the games, right? Like they've talked before that he's like an avid gamer, and
Mhm.
he was the one who like approached them about making the Silent Hill movie. And for all intents and purposes, like I feel like there was a lot of studio involvement that was like, yeah, we're not going to let you do this with just like a single character wandering around a
Mhm.
city. Okay, there has to be other characters in this movie.
Yeah, what
Um,
is it? I think if there was a earlier interview that was like, no, like we had Sean Bean come in because he was a notable actor, and they didn't have him die because like they'd care more if somebody was waiting for them on the
on the
other
other side,
side.
yeah,
Mhm.
100%, yeah. And so it sounds like there was a lot of studio involvement there, to where they were like, no, this has to be like movies, like we know how to make movies, okay?
Yep.
Um,
Because it was Lionsgate, right?
I think so. I could go grab my Blu-ray, but I'm lazy.
Let's Google it.
There you go. Um, but yeah, so I think this new take, I think especially with how much video games have kind of permeated the industry, the movie industry, I think that they could really push themselves to being as movie accurate as possible. I mean, video game accurate as possible.
Yeah, and we're on the rise of video game adaptations. Look at Sonic, and the Mario movies got buzz around it, except for Chris Pratt. That's also another podcast.
Sure,
But
yeah.
looking at the Silent Hill 1 movie, it doubled its production. Like it made 100 million at box office, and like it was actually made by or produced by, oh, I just saw it. Not Lionsgate, TriStar, which I know nothing about them. I don't know what
Yeah,
they've
I have
made.
no idea either.
Yeah.
Not off the top
But
of my head, anyway.
yeah. But it's not like the movie was a failure by any means.
Right.
So I think if they just stick with the source material, and if Christopher Gans is a gamer like he says, we'll get a solid movie.
Let's just hope he doesn't smash Koopas.
That direct was a travesty.
Real quick. I do think that he was just plastered when he made that video. I don't know if he, like a lot of people are like, oh man, Chris Pratt never played a game in his life. Come on, think about how old he is. Like, he absolutely would have been in the arcades playing
Yeah.
probably Mario, smashing Koopas. But if you look at his cheeks, like they're super rosy, and he just looks super happy, and like, man, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he just had a little too much to drink before that.
That doesn't shock me. And also on this quick, I'm stoked for that movie. I think it'll be fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It sucks when you hear the other people talking about, like, the other dubbed artists that are like the French dub, the Italian
Oh,
dub,
yeah.
and they're just like nailing Mario, just 100% nailing it. and you go back and you listen to Chris Pratt, and he's fine. He's like
Yeah,
a Brooklyn plumber, cool. But it's
but
just it doesn't have that Mario vibe that some of these other dubs do.
yeah, it feels like the people in the dubs actually like were like, hell yeah, I get to play Mario,
Yeah.
and Chris Pratt's like, I can do Brooklyn.
But you remember he didn't want to do a stereotypic Italian, thing. So
Yeah, it's
stereotypical
unlike
thing.
anything we've ever heard before.
That's right. Except it's like everything we've ever heard before.
Yeah, we got it back in the early 90s.
um.
Oh,
All right. So now that we're done with movie talk, let's talk about Townfall.
yeah. Something I didn't know I was excited for, but after doing some digging, I'm kind of pumped about.
I haven't played Observation. I think it's Observation, right?
Observation, yeah.
I haven't played that one. I've heard some good things about it. You got it's like this story in space with I think it's like 2 or 3 characters. I'm not 100% sure on that,
It's
but
like 3, 4 characters, and you play an AI called Sam.
hmm.
And you're like going through the space station figuring out like what happened via audio logs and via cameras, and apparently it's a very intuitive puzzle game. I watched a 5-minute trailer for it and I was like, all right, I can get into this.
That kind of reminds me of another game like that's very very similar. It's like all about hollow logs. I wish I could remember
Oh,
who made it and what it was called. But it reminds me of that, like just you saying that it's like you're going into this ship and everything is told, like the whole entire story is told through these like hollow logs that you
Tacoma.
watch. Yes, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I was like, I know this game.
Yes.
Give me 2 shakes.
That's what it sounds like to me, and
Yeah.
that's cool. I think that's neat.
It does definitely have Tacoma vibes, which I was like, I like Tacoma. I platinumed it. It
Yeah.
was easy, but it was fun. I like the story. But Observer seems like one of those things that like this could work in the Silent Hill universe if done correctly, because they
Well,
oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say their other game, Untold Stories, is like an anthology collection of like little horror games and stories
Yeah,
and stuff.
and they're like
it's
text
really
adventure.
cool.
They seem I'm very intrigued after doing research into No Code because I'd never heard of them before. I
Yeah,
was
a
like,
lot of
okay.
people hadn't. I mean, I honestly, I got Untold Stories off of an Epic sale. Like
Oh,
not
cool.
a sale, but like one of their free Epic
Games of the month.
Yeah, games of the month, game of the giveaway, whatever, games of the
Yeah.
day. They switch it up every once in a while depending on it, like if it's holiday season. Sometimes they're like every day you're gonna get a new game, every month you're gonna get a new game, every week you're gonna get a new game, every 2 weeks you're gonna get a new game. So
You're like, Epic, please stop.
yeah, are you still doing this? Like I thought this was just gonna be like your first year or whatever. Now we're like 4 or 5 years in or whatever, and they're still doing it.
Is the Epic Game Store that old already?
I mean, it has to be like 2017, right?
I would have told you it was like 2 years ago.
Because I have to imagine it's like 2017 because that's when Fortnite came out, right?
Yeah.
Or at least Fortnite as we know it came out. I can't remember if the original build mode Save the World was 2016 or not.
That sounds right. And it was 2018 for the Epic Game Store.
Okay, so still 4 years.
Yeah, which, like I said, I would have told you it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, wild.
And now Microsoft is there like, hey, we're going to get in on this.
Right.
Pull out the can of worms. But no, published by Annapurna, I think it has money behind it. And I think the studio's passionate enough because reviews and like critics really liked Stories Untold and Observer or Observation.
Yeah.
So no reason to doubt them. They're not Bloober.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting what they're kind of proposing. I definitely think Townfall is my like third hypest thing in that announcement. Mainly just because we didn't get to see anything.
Yeah.
Other than the transmission.
The cryptic portable TV thing.
I loved how they were stylized with it though. Instead of just being, man on screen, they were like, let's do this fun, cool little thing.
Yeah, which like the red waves going back and forth were sick too. I was like, okay, this is visual. I like this.
Yeah, and I'm very intrigued to like dig through that and see if there are any hidden messages like hidden in frames of that, because he does say go back and rewatch it and see if you can find any of the cool stuff in it. And I'm like, I don't know, was there any like hidden stuff in there that we just didn't notice?
There is one hidden message. Let me
Okay.
see if I can pull it up. Hidden message. Townfall.
It's kind
I
of
forgot
fun
what it.
watching this video upside down.
You're just going through it. You're like, oh, this is kind of trippy. I don't know how much I. Ugh.
We're
Let's
we're
see.
kind of we're in the Silent Hill movie stuff now. We just passed the Town Falls trailer,
We're
so I'm like,
slowly where it pans over and it just all gets all rustic and
yeah.
gross. Can I find this quickly, or am I just gonna be?
No, you're good. Even if you can't find it quickly. I don't know if there's too much else to say about Townfall besides the hidden message that you're looking for,
I'm
but
trying to find it.
I do think that it could be, at bare minimum better than like Homecoming and Downpour, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
100%. And I think that's what the Silent Hill fans are comparing it to, because that's
yeah,
what they've gotten.
right. Yeah, and I
And
absolutely think that at bare minimum it could be better than that.
yeah, I did find the secret message, and it says, "Whatever heart this town had has now stopped."
I mean, that makes sense. It's called Townfall, so
Yeah,
I don't know if
and
that's
like
really a hidden message, but
in the what is it in the trailer? They're like, "Oh, you came to this town to be punished.
right.
I don't want to be anywhere near you."
Yeah.
Which, give or take, a lot of Silent Hill fans are like, Silent Hill's not about being punished, but like, look at Silent Hill 2. Tell me that's not
It's
about being punished.
it's like it's a journey of self-discovery that involves self-punishment.
100%, because it's your own demons against you.
Right. And
You made this
it's not necessarily that you go to Silent Hill to be punished, but you end up in Silent Hill because of
of
your
what you something
your
you've done, or
self-punishment. Yeah.
maybe it's just like your trauma or your experiences. It's your emotions making this town fruition. That's why the little girl Laura, she's innocent. She doesn't have anything to worry about this town. She just misses her friend Mary.
Right.
So that's why she's in Silent Hill looking for Mary, but
Yep.
she can't see any monsters.
Yeah. I always remember like thinking as a kid like, "Oh man, what if you're actually killing like real people in this town and you just see them as monsters because reasons."
A very popular Silent Hill theory, which like it's easily plausible, like especially in Silent Hill 3, like cause Sharon's going out the mall and
Oh
there's just
yeah,
like
she's not even in Silent Hill. She's
no,
off somewhere else for most of
she's
that game.
she's in like a downtown city.
Yep.
Like it's just a mall.
Yep.
Oh.
Um so I think that's all on Townfall.
Mm.
Moving into Silent Hill Ascension, which, man, all I saw was a lot of studios and a lot of talent showing me absolutely nothing.
Yep, it was, hey, we're planning this thing. Stay tuned.
Yeah, and the weirdest part is like it seems like it's going to be a special event where
Hmm.
you're going to get on Twitch or the whatever platform they're putting this out on and you're going to decide what happens for the future of the like
Silent Hill
canon.
can
Now, and I don't know if they really mean the Silent Hill canon or like the canon for this Ascension thing.
mm.
Because it's the Silent Hill canon is such a weird term. Like I feel like what they meant was for Ascension, like you're gonna the fans are gonna decide how the story goes for Silent Hill
Hmm.
Ascension. But man, the messaging was so light and so weird that it
It
was
just
really hard to fully pick apart.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Like looking at it and even rewatching the trailer for it, I was like, so you're trying to tell me that the person with the biggest following can just come in and influence this. That's
Right.
what this sounds like to me, which sure could be a fun moment in history, but as a Silent Hill fan, it doesn't really get me excited. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll watch it play out, but like it makes me feel like my decision won't matter because that what's one vote to like somebody's following a 5K. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's almost like a
So
presidential election.
what? No, dog. That's what? That's
What?
crazy. Who said that?
It was probably Christoph Gans because he's on the
Yeah,
screen right now.
he's on everything.
He's
He's just
crazy.
leaking it
He's a
all.
crazy guy.
That guy's a gamer. No,
Um,
Ascension, very low totem pole for me. I'll watch it play out. I'm gonna sit here enjoying it.
absolutely. And lastly, let's go ahead and talk about probably my favorite thing in the Silent Hill transmission, which I was not expecting at all. And that was, and you know what? Like, I'm one of those people that hates CG trailers. Like, I'm like, get your CG trailer out of here. I don't want to see this. I want to see in-game gameplay. Give me the real deal.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess around with your CG trailer. No matter how good it looks, I don't care if Blur made it. I don't care if Tim Miller's out here making the coolest CG stuff. No, I don't
Give me
want
that
that.
pre-alpha, beta test footage that says will change in development. Give me
Yeah,
that.
exactly. I mean, obviously, my favorite trailers are when they take gameplay and they make a cool thing out of that, because that means their game is rad, right?
Yeah,
When you can
that
make
means
a
they're
dope
confident in their
trailer,
product.
yeah, when they can make a dope trailer out of their video game, that's the one. That's the one you're gonna want to play. Um,
Wholeheartedly agree.
but even with that said, I do think that there was so much cool stuff in this trailer. When I watched it originally, I thought, oh, this is like modern day Japan, but why is it so empty? And then my friend was like, is this
Mm,
feudal Japan? And I was like, no, it's definitely not feudal Japan. They
no.
had like chain link fences and, like what was the other thing that I picked out? The school uniform was more
Hmm.
modern. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, I mean, I guess it could be like 1920s, like it's probably the earliest it could
Yeah.
be. And then they came out and said 1960.
Yeah,
And
which definitely caught me off guard. And I've got a tidbit about this from the community that I've been
ooh,
hearing.
I'm ready. I'm ready for this because I also have been digging into this. First of all, I'm gonna actually skip ahead to that part of the
Sounds good.
actual.
And just in case,
Um,
we're talking about Silent Hill F here.
yes, or I forget what the music note is called.
Fortissimo.
Forte. Yes,
Or
thank you.
Forte. Forte.
Forte. Yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
No, no, you're
one of
good.
my one of my community members in Discord was like, "Yeah, that's Forte or Fortissimo," and I went, "Damn, I did 7 years of band and I didn't pick that up."
Yeah, I mean it's such a cool thing because the F could be for five. The
Yeah.
F could be for forte, like you said. And I love the idea of it being forte because forte has so many meanings behind it, right? Like if you're thinking of it
Hmm.
as a musical note, but you could also think of it as this is Silent Hill's forte, creepy, like town
Yeah.
bullshit. Like let's
There's many
go.
ways to determine it, and I actually had never thought about like the Forte, like their style. I had never thought about that, but I really dig it
Yeah.
because Creepy's 1960. This trailer we got, I was like, "Oh, I didn't know I wanted this, but I want it."
Yes.
It was just gorgeous from just start to finish and just invokes that eerie dread with this girl running up the stairs and like you see her go from panic to acceptance that she's done
Right.
in this short trailer. Oh, I need more already.
Okay, tidbits from the community. Let's go. Let's go through this. I want to.
Um oh, so the it's a hot take
Okay.
from the community that I've seen, and I don't want to generalize it. It's just been a couple people here and there, but they're like, Silent Hill's an American town. Why are
Oh,
they going?
sure.
Yeah, it's a hot take, which I saw and I was like, you guys are being really fucked up right now.
Yeah.
Let's cool our jets because like we've talked about it all throughout this show, and it's just like, no, Silent Hill's different for everybody, and if this is happening in 1960 Japan, I'm fucking here for it.
Yeah.
But from the inklings I've sought out, everybody seems pretty positive on it, and they're like, no, a fresh take, I'm in.
All right. So let me hit you with my research and fun stuff
Oh, hit
about
me.
Silent Hill F.
I'm
All
very
right.
excited.
So we're talking 1960s Japan. What event? What significant event happened very recently in Japan's history here?
I would have to say the bombings,
You
the
are 100% correct.
ooh, look at me go. Thanks AP US history or AP world history.
So it's very interesting to think about the fact that this game is that close to when Japan was still reeling from the after effects of nuclear fallout.
Hmm.
And what I think is really interesting is, do you know anything about the red lily, the Japanese spider
I
lily?
don't.
So it generally signifies death.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of stuff. I will put the link in the description, but there's is it the Enthusiastic Muse, something like that, their YouTube channel. She has a beautiful breakdown of the entire trailer and how it fits in with Japanese culture. The doll that you see in the trailer, how it's like this child's doll, and what it represents, and like the fact that there's all these stores are empty and there's only one of them. Could this all represent, like, when the bombs hit Japan, they rapidly increased plant growth throughout
Oh,
the
okay.
devastated areas, not like the epicenter, but the outside outlying areas. There was a huge influx of plant growth. Meanwhile, people were dying, having horrible things happen to them, including their flesh falling off, which we see at the very end of the
Oh,
trailer, and
shit.
with her face, right?
Yeah.
So could this be a representation of nuclear destruction in 1960s Japan with a very crazy horror twist?
Holy
Um,
shit.
so yeah, it's such a cool idea, and I'm gonna put the link into the description for this video because I don't want to spoil everything and I don't want to go over it all without like more detail, because she does an absolutely incredible job in this video and is
Absolutely.
obviously way more knowledgeable than I am. This bright white screen is killing me. Um, but yeah,
If you could
so
DM that to me as well, I will
yeah,
analyze that as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Because that is such an amazing take on this, and it's something that didn't even click in my head.
Yeah,
Nor was I educated on the flowers or what was happening. It that is so cool.
yeah. So they're not native to Japan, but they're like shown in a bunch of Japanese anime and video games, and
Hmm.
you've probably seen them if you ever played. I think Neo has them quite significantly displayed, especially Neo
Oh
2, if I
yeah,
remember
I
correctly.
I put like 10 hours into Neo. I remember that.
Yeah, and so they signify death, and it's so cool, and like of course the flowers themselves, the foliage is attacking back or coming back, and
Which would track for the environments of Silent Hill.
right, and having this cool flower scenario, which I just want to point out right here. Ryukishio 7 is the person we mentioned earlier in the show,
Mm.
and we were talking about their visual novels and stuff. And if you don't know who he is, check out his work. It's really cool if you like horror, if you like anime, if you like dark stuff in general. Just check it out because it's awesome. Um, and yeah, so I think that could be a really interesting setting for Silent Hill. And thinking back on the whole thing about Silent Hill being an American thing, Silent Hill is only an American thing because that's all we've ever seen. But as we
Yeah,
know, Silent Hill isn't necessarily a place.
it
As
is
we
not.
just talked about, Silent Hill 3 has Silent Hill meet her in places not Silent Hill.
Yeah, not to
So,
mention in Silent Hill 4 as well, it's in an entirely different town.
right. And then on top of that, let's just say there could be some place in Japan called Silent Hill or something very similar that
Yeah.
translates. So it doesn't really matter. And let's be honest, they could make a fictional Japanese city called Silent Hill. I mean, it's not like Raccoon City is a real place, although there might actually be a Raccoon City, but it's not like Raccoon City from the Resident Evil games is a real place.
No, and I think that's always like you could get into this about anything like people are like, "Oh, well, it's an American town." Like, well, it's still a fictional town. It's still made up.
Right.
I feel like if you made the property, you kind of get to decide what happens with it,
Yeah.
whether that's good or bad.
And no, it doesn't matter who or what you're doing. The fans are like, some fans, even if they're not fans, there's someone out there is going to have an opinion, and that opinion is not always going to be positive. But
No.
what we like to preach is, if you have a negative opinion, that's okay as long as it's constructive.
Yeah.
Something like, "Oh, it can't be there because it's not in America." Go, please leave. Just
Yeah, just like I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that from the community that I love. Like it's It's too dumb.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be, I don't know. It'd be like if I can't even think of like a good representation other than Resident Evil. Like if they
I mean,
suddenly remade Resident Evil 1 and it took place on a Japanese island instead of, an American city called Raccoon
yeah.
City, like I don't care. They called it Tanuki Island, and it happened to be a mansion on an island that they flew to. I don't care. It's
Damn, that's
fine.
crazy. That's just Code Veronica.
Yeah, well, I mean,
You just described Code Veronica.
that's kind of true.
But
But
no, I know what you mean.
but yeah, it's whatever. Um, but I mean, I guess that's it, right? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of the end of the show. And like I said, I will put the video for that breakdown in the description of this video. And I really hope everyone, that all 5 listeners that check this out, click that link, because it's such a great video. It's such a great breakdown of Japanese history and kind of what was going on in that time. I'm just gonna pause and close this because I don't know what else to do with it at this point. Um, so
All
yeah,
good.
thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out with us, Goth. And
Yeah, absolutely.
let's get your final thoughts. Final thoughts on the transmission.
Final thoughts on the transmission. I think that if it's a format that they want to keep doing, just like any forum like that, Nintendo Direct, State of Plays, I think it's something that they need to work on and improve, and I think that they need to have more substance, because we didn't see any gameplay from any one of these games.
Yeah.
Maybe there was
A
some
little
in
bit,
Silent Hill 2
a little
remake.
bit in Silent Hill 2 remake, just a little tiny bit, and that most likely the camera was not where it's going to be in the final version.
Exactly. So I think it was good. 7 out of 10, and it's a 10 out of 10 for a Silent Hill fan like us. We just wanted more information,
More.
and that's what we got.
Give us more, just awesome horror shit.
Exactly. That's all I could ever want, is more horror shit. And I know we're talking about Silent Hill, but like Callisto Protocol, though,
Oh
that
my
looks
God.
it's looking good.
I saw your tweet. This is random knowledge that people don't need to know, but I saw your tweet about Resident Evil 4's Collector Edition, and I went and looked at it, and I was like, man, I kind of want this, but do I really need Leon on my shelf? And then I thought about the fact that I'm buying the Collector's Edition for Callisto Protocol. But I'm like, I justify it because even though it's like Universal Spaceman that we don't know yet, it's got dope body horror stuff going on. So that's how I justify it. I'm like, I mean, I want cool body
I get
horror
that.
shit on my shelf.
Yeah.
Leon's just standing there with a gun, you know?
Hey, don't you talk about Leon, Jill, or Chris standing up on this shelf with a gun over here. Because I've bought all of them.
But no, I think that they're amazing. I think the quality of those statues is definitely worth it in comparison to stuff Capcom's done in the past. Their Resident Evil stuff has been fantastic, man. I missed out on getting the Resident Evil 7 house, which broke my heart because.
When you grab it?
No, you don't have to grab it. It'll make me cry. But that was the collector's edition that I was like, oh man, you're gonna hit me with this song that like I can play in this house. I'm in. I'm all in. And then of course every remake plus Resident Evil 8 has been so good. But like I said to you on Twitter, man, I wish they would have done Jill for Resident Evil 2. And I know that at the time they didn't know if they were going to be doing any more of these remakes, if Resident Evil 2 remake was even going to be popular. I imagine if that game had sold like horribly, they would have just scrapped where they were at for Resident Evil 3.
100%, and they just would have moved on to 8 and 9.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I couldn't agree more. I do think they should have done. You said Jill, but
oh my God, yes, Claire. I did say Jill.
I got you.
It's because you said Jill earlier.
Yep. But no, like if they would have done Claire, they could have set themselves up so easy for that. Hey, we're getting the entire cast, like, and you'll have it all on yourself. This is why getting the collector's edition is important. But I could only imagine that these remakes are selling gangbusters for them, and Capcom's just like at the precipice. Like, what was it? Devil May Cry just sold 6 million copies. Like Monster Hunter, it's Monster
crazy.
Hunter.
Yeah,
always. And then you've got Street Fighter 6 on the horizon, which I'm not a big fighting game guy, but like after watching that beta,
that game's got
like,
style.
I might be a fighting game guy.
I'm all in on. I mean, Capcom and Konami are like my childhood, so I'm all in on whatever. But yeah, it would have been really cool to have Claire, Leon, Jill, and Chris just able to set up on your shelf as the classic four,
Yeah,
the main crew, the crew that
yeah.
brought us all to these games.
It started it all, and like I still reference almost all these games daily, even if it's in my own head. But like these games played a major role in my childhood, and it's why I
If
love horror to this day.
if they do a collector's edition for Silent Hill 2, do you think they do Pyramid Head instead of James? Does anyone really want like a James figure?
Uh, as in a few communities I'm in with Silent Hill, we do call James the unfuckable man. And so I want Pyramid Head rather than James
If
because
they
like
do James, I want him in his car like ramping over a ledge.
just like the in water ending. He's just like
Exactly.
you've got Mary just kind of shoveled there and he's just
Yep.
like slowly going into water.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that is the perfect statue for the collector's edition.
Oh my gosh.
And
Konami,
it
if
has like a little
you're listening.
reservoir for water.
On the
Oh,
other side,
Konami.
you've got a little room that has the dog in it,
Yeah, oh my god. And then like Laura kind of like going like, "Oh my god."
right? Anyway, one more time at the bottom of the show, where can people find you?
You can find me at GothxHero, GOTHXHERO at Twitter, Instagram. I play a lot of horror games. I speedrun Silent Hill 2, and we're just down to have a good time. We have a community Discord, but join this one because they do so much better than me and more work. And I can't thank you enough for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah, please check out simplysassyvids.com if somehow the algorithm got you here, or the rest of the channel. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and all that stuff. And if you want to hear more of me, you can hear me on the Nightlight Pod, where I get to talk about horror movies. We get to talk about
Oh.
Insidious, 1408, and I don't know if the other one's been announced yet, so I don't know if I can say that one yet. But we
Okay.
talk about some fun horror movies in depth and analyzing. So please check them out.
Yeah, go check them out. Listen to the end of this. Go check out Everywhere Phil's on. Great dude.
Oh, thank
Just
you.
overwhelming positivity. And like, it's like whenever I get a tweet or a reply from you, I'm like, oh my God.
Hey, it's just the kind of funny best friend community is one of the best out there, man. There's so many great people, and I love being a part of it, and I love being here. And I love being able to interact. Like, I love being able to just reach out to, like, literally anybody in the community and be like, hey, do you want to be on a show? It doesn't even matter if it's Timur Hussein, like,
Yeah.
Lucy James, or, like, any of them. They're just like, yeah, of course. Like, I'll do a
Yeah.
show for you guys. Yeah, why not?
It's great.
Kinda funny
it's such an
community, man.
overwhelming force of positivity. And like seeing just this community rise, like when you reach out to me to be on, I was like, yeah, any day of the week, that's what we do. We're homies.
Absolutely. And on that note, I just want to say, Goth, you're pretty good. And have a wonderful day.
Take care.